Have you ever wondered what lies beyond our galaxy? What if I told you no human, no ship, and no life has ever truly crossed that edge? Not because we cannot, but because something won't let us. They said it was just empty space out there, a cold, silent void waiting to be explored. But the crew of the Erebus 9 found something else, something that watched them back. The deeper they went, the more reality began to bend, stars twisting like they were alive, voices whispering through the dark, and a presence older than time itself warning them to turn around, before it was too late. What did they see at the edge of the Milky Way, and why did none of them ever return the same? Stay till the end. Because once you hear what waits beyond our galaxy, you will understand why humanity was never meant to leave. Watch closely, and listen carefully. Because the moment you know the truth, the Milky Way might start watching you too. The stars had never looked so close. Dr. Ilara Voss stood on the observation deck of the Erebus 9, humanity's first vessel built to cross the galactic boundary. A sea of light stretched endlessly beyond the glass, each star trembling like a candle in the dark. The hum of the ship's engines pulsed through her boots. Slow, rhythmic, alive. Approaching the edge, the navigator whispered. His voice trembled, though the air was cold and still. Outside, the black between the stars thickened, like ink spilling over a page. Ilara adjusted her visor. Her pulse matched the ship's beat. Thud, thud, thud. Every sensor on the console began to flicker, not malfunctioning, blinking in patterns. Almost communicative. Are you seeing this? She asked. No one replied. The crew stared ahead, eyes wide, as if something unseen had taken hold of their attention. Ilara followed their gaze. At the edge of the galaxy, light bent. Stars twisted, folding into shapes that should not exist. Lines of brilliance curved backward, as though reality itself was recoiling. A low vibration filled the deck. It was not coming from the ship. It was coming from outside. Every atom in her body felt it. A hum deeper than sound, older than time. She reached out toward the viewport. The glass was freezing to the touch, but beneath it, something moved. A shimmer, a ripple, like a reflection. But the reflection moved first. Then, the navigation system screamed. Coordinates collapsed into nonsense. Distances multiplied and shrank in the same breath. And for a single heartbeat, Ilara saw it. Something vast, something aware. It was not made of matter. It was made of thought. Watching from beyond the galactic rim and watching her. The stars dimmed, one by one, as if hiding themselves. The voice came next. Not through speakers, not through air. Inside her mind. Calm, patient, inevitable. Go back. Ilara staggered backward, heart pounding. The crew remained frozen, eyes unfocused, faces pale as ash. She tried to call for the captain. The words fell apart in her throat. The hum grew louder, and outside the viewport, the stars began to blink out entirely. Darkness was coming. Not the absence of light, but the erasure of existence itself. And Ilara finally understood why no one had ever crossed the edge before. Why no one ever would. The tear in space was silent. Too silent. Light bent inward as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Ilara felt her body stretch, not physically, but spiritually, like her consciousness was being pulled through a needle's eye. The crew around her convulsed. Their movements were jerky, unnatural, as though invisible strings yanked them in every direction. The tear widened. No glow, no brilliance, just an absence so complete it made her eyes water. From that nothingness, a faint pulse emerged. Slow, steady, almost a heartbeat. Her voice trembled. "Captain, we need to..." But the captain turned toward her and she froze. His face was blank. His skin shimmered like glass reflecting starlight. Beneath the surface, something moved. "Ilara?" he said, but his mouth did not move in time with the word. It was delayed, as though reality itself lagged. She took a step back. "What happened to you?" He smiled. Too wide, too slow. The same thing that will happen to everyone who looks beyond. Behind him, the viewport rippled again. That dark pulse grew faster. Each beat echoed in her chest, synchronizing with her own heart. Thud, thud, thud. And then it skipped. Pain shot through her body. Every atom screamed. Her reflection in the glass was no longer her own. It blinked before she did. Her reflection smiled, while she stood frozen, terrified. "Ilara," it whispered, its voice like hers, but layered with something older, something vast. "Do you understand now?" The ship's hull began to split, thin fractures spreading like veins of light. Through them, she saw more of those impossible eyes, each one focusing, studying. Her reflection leaned closer, pressing its palm against the other side of the glass. "Every galaxy protects itself," it said softly. "The Milky Way is alive, and you are its infection." The deck collapsed. The hum became a roar, and the tear in space reached for her, pulling her toward that impossible dark. As her vision began to fade, one last thought echoed in her mind. A voice, calm and ancient, whispering not in words, but in feeling, "This is why no one leaves, because outside the Milky Way, something waits to come in." Alara stumbled as the deck tilted beneath her feet. The Erebus 9 groaned, metal stretching like it was breathing. The ship was alive, or something inside it had awakened. The emergency lights flickered crimson. Shadows swam along the walls, not cast by any source she could see. She reached the control panel, fingers trembling. Every display showed the same message, looping endlessly in bright white text. Return. Her throat tightened. "Return where?" she whispered. The voice answered immediately, its tone both kind and cold. "To where you belong." A cold wind swept through the deck, but there was no open door, no breach in the hull. Still, she could feel the movement of air. It smelled of ozone and dust, the scent of stars long dead. She turned to the crew. They stood motionless in their stations, eyes wide open, pupils glowing faintly with the reflection of distant starlight. "Alara," one of them finally said. But the voice was not his own. It came from all directions, using his mouth as a speaker. "You are touching a boundary that was never meant to be crossed." Her breath came in short bursts. Every instinct screamed to turn the ship around, but curiosity burned hotter than fear. "What is beyond?" she asked. A pause. A silence that felt like the universe itself had stopped breathing. Then the lights dimmed and a soft image formed in front of the glass. Not a planet, not a star, but a void filled with patterns. The patterns moved like living equations, rewriting themselves faster than thought. Alara stared, hypnotized. Her body felt heavy, her thoughts pulling apart like sand in a current. Her hand pressed against the viewport again. This time the glass felt warm, almost alive. The hum outside deepened. It was no longer a warning. It was an invitation. And somewhere deep in her mind, a memory that was not hers whispered, "Every galaxy is a cell, every edge a membrane. Do not break what binds the living universe together." Alara's voice cracked. "But if the universe is alive, what happens if we leave it?" The voice fell silent. Then for the first time, it sounded afraid. "Then you will meet what lives outside." The stars ahead twisted again, stretching into long white threads. They formed something like eyes, millions of them, all looking in. Alara's blood ran cold. The ship's hull began to vibrate, groaning under pressure from an invisible force. Every alarm screamed in unison, and before she could react, space itself ripped open. Alara fell, not through air, not through space, but through memory itself. Flashes of light exploded around her, each one showing a glimpse of something impossible. The birth of a star, the death of a civilization, the slow, patient blink of a cosmic being that watched everything unfold. She was falling through the universe's thoughts. Her scream vanished into the void, absorbed like it had never existed. Then, stillness. Alara landed on solid ground, but there were no stars above her, no planets, no color, only an endless plain of silver dust, stretching beyond sight. The air vibrated with faint whispers, echoes of every word ever spoken in the Milky Way. Billions of voices layered over one another, creating a living hum that pressed against her skull. She tried to breathe, but the air was too thick, too alive. In the distance, she saw something move. A figure, tall, motionless, made entirely of faint starlight and shadow. It did not walk, it unfolded, each step bending the horizon like paper as it drew closer. Alara felt her mind ache, like her thoughts were being rearranged. "Where am I?" she managed to whisper. The being stopped. Its voice came not from its mouth, but from inside her own mind. "You are outside the living body of your home. You stand where galaxies end. You're not meant to exist here." She looked around. Everything shimmered faintly, like the after-image of a dying dream. "Then what is this place?" she asked. "This," the being said slowly, "is the emptiness between creation, where things that try to leave go to unbecome." Her heart pounded harder, each beat growing louder than the last. "But I saw something watching us, something alive." The being tilted its head. "That was the Milky Way itself. You touched its edge. You made it notice you." Alara's hands shook. Her suit felt heavier with every breath. "So it stopped us?" The being leaned closer. Its eyes, if they could be called eyes, glowed like collapsing stars. "It did more than stop you. It marked you." Her vision blurred. A faint light pulsed beneath her skin, running through her veins like liquid starlight. "What does that mean?" she whispered. The being did not answer. It only turned its gaze upward, and she followed it. The sky above began to crack. Through the fractures, she could see the Milky Way, spinning slow and immense, its spirals shimmering like the arms of a living creature, and in its center, something was waking up. The cracks spread across the sky like lightning frozen in time. Each fracture glowed with blinding white light, and from within it, Alara heard a sound, not a roar, Not a voice, but the low, aching groan of something vast, stretching after eons of sleep. The being beside her stepped back. Its form trembled, flickering between existence and shadow. "Alara," it said softly, "you should not watch what comes next." But she could not look away. Through the broken firmament, she saw the heart of the Milky Way pulse, a rhythm older than creation. The core was no longer just a cluster of stars. It was an eye, a single, burning gaze that turned slowly, deliberately, toward her. Every atom in her body screamed to collapse, to dissolve back into the dust it came from. Her lungs refused to move. Her heart stuttered. The being tried to shield her with its light, but the eye pierced through both of them, seeing everything. Then, without sound, it spoke, not with words, but with a feeling that crushed her thoughts flat. "You were born inside me. You breathe my dust, and yet you seek to leave me." Alara fell to her knees, her mind filled with images, stars forming, dying, exploding, a billion cycles of life and destruction all at once. "You're alive," she gasped. "The galaxy is alive." The ground shook beneath her. The dust rose in spirals, forming shapes, faces, species, civilizations, each one vanishing as soon as it appeared. "I am not alive," the voice corrected. "I am what lives through you." Alara's vision dimmed. She felt her body dissolve into specks of light, each particle remembering every life she had ever lived, and every death yet to come. The being beside her placed a hand on her shoulder. Its touch was cold, yet filled with something like sorrow. "It will not let you go," it whispered. "Not you. Not any of your kind. You are part of its dream," her voice trembled. "Then what happens if we wake up?" The being hesitated, and for the first time, she saw fear in its luminous eyes. "If you wake up," it said, "the galaxy stops dreaming. Above them, the Milky Way's spirals began to twist tighter, pulling in stars, light, matter, everything. The eye at its center grew brighter, its light tearing through reality, reaching for her across the endless dark, and as its brilliance engulfed the horizon, the being's final words echoed inside her mind. "This is why you will never leave the Milky Way. Because if you do, it will have to wake up." The light consumed everything. Alara's senses shattered into silence. No sound, no motion, only a soft, endless white, then a whisper, gentle, familiar. "Alara, open your eyes," she obeyed. The hum of the Erebus 9 returned, low and steady. The deck lights glowed a calm blue. Her console flickered with normal readings. Outside, the stars of the Milky Way sparkled as they always had. The tear was gone. The void, gone. The crew, awake. It was as if nothing had happened. "System stable," the navigator said, his voice calm, unshaken, approaching safe distance from the galactic boundary. Alara's pulse quickened. She looked around. Everyone moved with quiet focus, no memory of the impossible. Her fingers trembled as she touched the glass. This time, the reflection stared back normally. No shimmer, no delay. But deep in the reflection's eyes, she saw something faint, a flicker of light, pulsing like a heartbeat. The same rhythm she had heard beyond the edge. Her throat went dry. She forced a small, careful smile. "Helm," she said, her voice steady but distant. Set course for home. As the Erebus 9 turned back toward the heart of the Milky Way, the stars seemed to breathe again, like the galaxy itself was settling back into slumber. Alara glanced once more into the depths of space, where the void had opened. For a fleeting moment, she felt the faintest tug in her mind, a single thought. Quiet and watchful, do not dream of leaving again. The hum of the engines deepened, and the ship slipped silently into the arms of the galaxy. Behind them, the edge of the Milky Way shimmered, closing like an eyelid, and in that infinite dark beyond, nothing stirred, nothing dared, because the galaxy was sleeping once more, and humanity, its tiny children, would never again try to wake it.